Welcome to Merryfield's Gardening Advisor, brought to you by the experts at Merryfield Garden Center. Join us as we discover beautiful plants, new trends, and exciting ideas for your landscape. So let's get growing together. Merryfield's Gardening Advisor, bringing out the best in your garden.
Happy New Year, everybody. It's a new year. I'm Debbie Warhurst-Kapp along with Peg Beer, and you had a good New Year? Ready for a new year?
Yes, ready for a new year.
Me
Yes.
too. We are all ready for a new
Yes.
year. Well, we have a great show for you today because we're going to be talking about educating you. And that's what we're all about. Every week, every day at the Garden Center, but we've got some very cool seminars coming up, so we're going to talk about that today, right?
Yes, educating, not just you, educating ourselves. There's no way that any one of us can know everything.
That's for
and
sure.
In this plant world, particularly, there's just so much. And yes, I think we do a good job when people come in to the Garden Center working with them, but in our busiest time, you can never really give the kind of individual attention or share the knowledge that you'd like to do. So these seminars that we have done now for many years and really have elaborated on them are fantastic. And we have a wide range of topics and a wide range of people who are teaching these seminars. But you know, it's not just coming to the seminar and learning what the speaker has to say. We do a good job of sharing back and forth with the audience. And what kind of experiences have you had? Because we all learn something every
That's
day,
for sure.
you know? Reading. In addition to that, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to talk a little bit about the books.
Some of these books.
Deb noticed, and I didn't even know
is so
we
cute.
had these.
I know. I'm embarrassed to say I didn't either.
Well, we can't know everything that we've got either,
right.
you know. I passed by, and it's a fun little book, How to Build a Fire, plus other things that grandfather knew.
Right.
And
this was how to sew a button, other nifty things that grandmother knew.
Grandmother knew. And we're so endangered in losing this knowledge, and we just can't afford to do that. We need to build on the knowledge of our forebears, you know, and I've got some other interesting things. So it's wintertime. It's snowing outside now, or it has been.
It has been.
And it's the perfect time to build that fire if you've got a fireplace, and snuggle up with a good book.
Absolutely.
You know, slow down just a little bit, enjoy, and we will. I won't be able to talk about all of the seminars, but I would like to elaborate on some of the knowledge that you might gain through attending these things. Okay.
And the children are involved too. You have a little
yes,
little
there's a
picture you'd like to show.
Well, at this time of the year, at all times of the year, and as most of you know, I have a fairly large garden and many
And a large family.
which is a blessing. Ooh, wow, a blessing in both cases. And I love the birds. They're a very important part of our environment, and the more you can know about them, the better. And this was a picture 2 or 3 years ago of my daughter Maggie and her son Christian stringing popcorn. I think there's snow outside, you know. Bring them into whatever you're doing, particularly when the outer environment is concerned, because all this technology is fantastic, but we need to know about nature too.
That's right.
And feed those birds and enjoy identifying those birds and put it up close where you can see it, you know?
Right. So
It's
we've
great.
got lots to share with you today. We'll take phone calls at the end of the show. Have a couple quick announcements before we get started. Wanted to remind you that now that the holidays are over, our hours have changed at Merryfield Garden Center. We're in our official winter hours now. So that's Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. and Sundays from 9 till 5. It's at all 3 stores, so come on in. While you're there, take advantage of our after Christmas sale. This has just been upped We've upped the ante. Now it's 50 to 70%
Wow.
off. So it's 50% off Christmas ornaments, gifts, and accessories. 60% off Christmas ribbon and florals, artificial wreaths and garland, and artificial trees and lights, and 70% off boxed cards, some display trees, some Christmas potpourri, pre-made bows, that type of thing. So lots of great opportunities left still to take advantage for Christmas 2014. We just finished Christmas 2013. It's hard to think about Christmas 2014, but it's coming up. While you're there, be sure to pick up one of our calendars, our 2014 calendars, which we're very proud of. Peggy and I and Sharon and Kevin and David and have all worked on this, many people, and Suzanne, who's our designer, had done this. It's a great calendar. Got some great tips and great information in there. And since it was snowing and very cold and very icy, while you're there, don't forget to pick up some de-icer and some snow shovels and sand and whatever you might need, we've got. To protect you while you're out and about. Don't want you to slip and fall, want you to be safe and that type of thing. So lots of products available for that. So be sure to take advantage of that. Now the other announcement is what we're going to talk about all day today, which is our seminars. So if you haven't picked up well, first of all, if you're on our mailing list, I received mine in the mail a couple days ago. So if you're not on the mailing list, first of all, join it because it's a great opportunity, both our email mailing list and our regular mailing list. But you should have gotten your seminar schedule in the mail. If not, come by and pick up one at the store. We also have them available on our website, MaryfieldGardenCenter.com. But it's filled with lots of great topics, and we're going to touch on just a few.
Absolutely. And one of the beginning, now they are at all three locations, and so you have to make a choice, okay?
That's right.
And
That's the hard part.
Beginning on the 18th of January, David Yost is kicking off the one at Fair Oaks location, and it's called a Gardener's Calendar. And that's pretty important because he is really going to go through some very important things. And if we bring up the first picture, we'll have some examples of some of the things that he is going to talk about that day and back and forth with you. I think this first picture is crepe myrtle. Right now, actually, is a good time to prune some things. Where crepe myrtle is concerned, you have to make a decision. The one on the left, or my left anyway, is it's beautiful in the wintertime. It has great winter structure. You can see the full structure of the tree, and then in the summertime, the blooms. The following picture shows another way to prune, okay? And there are those of us who want to go the natural way and see the complete structure of that tree that have a tendency to call it crepe murder. But it's up to you. And if that's what you're looking for, and there are a lot of people that do, then that tree was trimmed back low, and you'll never get rid of that exact way that it's pruned, okay? He's also going to talk about weed control, and both organic and inorganic control. And if you've got a bunch of winter weeds out there, then you missed out on treating in the late fall, but you can treat again for things in the spring. We also will have Larry Shapiro, for one, doing seed starting. And I have a picture of my own grandchildren looking through seed packages because the young love to see these things come from just a seed. And so, again, I encourage you to please involve the children wherever you can.
Right, planting a vegetable garden there.
And yes, when spring breaks, give them some things. Early lettuce can go in March. And some of those cool crops can go in then. And then later, they'll love to see the beans sprout.
Right.
But as I said, again...
Michael Fay is going to be doing a seminar on that.
Yes, on the edible
in February.
things. And that's a big trend now.
Right.
The ability, as my daughter had done, cleared that one side of the house, took out all the old shrubs.
And what do you use that for anyway? It's perfect.
And that's their vegetable garden. And it's big enough with the large family for them to go out and take care of it and harvest from it. And I know Eamon loves to go out and just eat the beans as he stands there, you know, loves it. We also have things for the children, which happens to be a terrarium, but Regina from the greenhouse.
That's one that they're going to be actually making something. So we ask you to go on the website and pre-register for that, so we kind of know how many are
That's
coming.
right.
So lots going on. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more to share with you on our great seminars that are coming up. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Merrifield Garden Center's The Gardening Advisor. And we are talking today about our seminars. And I want to elaborate more and more as we go along about the value of coming to these seminars. Our outdoor living space is very, very important for a lot of reasons. Whether you are a plant person, or if you just love to be outside with the children, all of our needs vary. And you can get a lot of ideas, a lot of experiences by coming to the seminars, and there are many of the design ones. I'm standing, for instance, at the edge of the garden gate. And this actually is a landscape that Merrifield Garden Center did several years ago for a lady who loved her plants. They are very well organized in the back garden. There is plenty of sunshine for the perennials and the small shrubs that she loved. There is a wonderful privacy screen between she and the neighbors. What are you looking for? Is it privacy? Privacy can be a row of one thing, or it can be a blend of things. Are you looking for a water garden? Curb appeal. We are having wonderful, wonderful seminar on curb appeal and front yard gardening. This happens to be someone's front garden, and you walk literally over this wonderful water garden to get into the front door. And it is, they're taking really advantage of the real estate that they own, because they're enjoying the plants right out there out front where the passers-by can also enjoy it. And yet they also have some privacy there too. Most of us like some privacy or another. And as we roll through some of these, you can see some of the thoughts. This is actually the other side of the same garden that we entered this gate originally. We will have seminars on walls, walks, patios, and those are important because they help to guide us through our landscape. They take you from one place to another. And there are ground covers, because there will be topics on perennials and the importance that the role that they play, but there are ground covers here. There are a lot of perennials. There are a lot of shrubs. Very important. Coming to the next one. A lot of people don't want a lot of plants, a lot of shrubs. There are plants in the background. There is also a privacy area there that shields your outdoor living space from whatever happens to be on the perimeter of your property. And so there's so many different building materials that can be used to create this kind of space. And so that you can use it year-round. Another trend is fire pits. When they can be done safely, it's wonderful. And then the next one. This happened to be, several years ago, my own daughters. Another important thing that needs to be addressed often is a change of grade in your garden so that you can actually use it and enjoy it. And we needed to do this in their backyard. And so we put in those wonderful walls and the nice steps that came down from the back of the house so that the grade was changed safely and she had plenty of room for the children to play. And the next one, please. Again, small gardens, and I myself will be doing something on small gardens, but Don't omit the fact that in any of these design classes, you can always take a portion of one and have a small garden. In my own garden, which you see so frequently, any part of that garden can be scaled back somewhat and the general idea adapted to a small garden. This happens to be the entrance area of a small area. Curb appeal. It's very important. If you happen to want to sell your house, curb appeal is really important. Then the back garden. Some people, again, are incredible plants people, and you've got room for a multitude of things back here if you've just got a simple walkway. Maybe back in this area here, there could be a small sitting area. There probably is that you can't really see right now. But if you really stop and learn what those plants are, you'll be delighted. This happens to be several years ago in my herb, vegetable, flower garden. It is a mixture of things because I love to mix it up. It's a great way to grow your tomatoes, grow your beans, grow your lettuce in and among the other plants. And if there's little fences, that's the fantastic place for clematis, okay? And the next one, please. Herb gardens can be absolutely beautiful. This was actually at our Fair Oaks location in the front area several years ago also. Most of those herbs require impeccable drainage. I love herbs. I love to cook with them. I love the lavender particularly. And if you don't have really good drainage and a fair amount of sunshine, you're not going to succeed with these things. And so I've used, at my home and here, a lot of gravel. We are going to have Nicole come from A Time to Plant. They own this wonderful nursery that we purchased plants from. And we were there at the end of the summer, and I took a walk through up to their vegetable garden, which a lot of it was finished up at that point in the game, and I was very intrigued with what they had done there, because you need to make your garden your own. You need to learn enough about the plants to know what you really love, because you're going to live with them for a while. Here, her husband created this wonderful entrance into the garden with cedar, natural cedar, that he had taken from his own property. And so it has an incredible personality that's all your own. And you, if you can't create this kind of thing, you can do it in some other way. But Debbie, do you have a little bit to share about some of these that correlate to this?
Absolutely. You were talking about kind of gearing towards landscape design, and we have several seminars that are geared mainly to landscape design, among other things. But as Peg mentioned, we've got garden design with Karen Rexroad. Mary Kirk Menifee is going to be talking about dramatic garden makeovers and designing spaces for outdoor entertaining. Renetta Holt's going to be talking about walls, walks, and patios. Seth Warner is going to be doing curb appeal, and Peggy's going to be doing gardening in small spaces. So that's just a few of the seminars. So be sure to pick up the seminar schedule or go online at MerryfieldGardenCenter.com and enjoy these seminars. Take advantage of them. They're free. They're wonderful. We'll be right back. There we go. Look at that. Bees, pollinators, so important. We've got a seminar coming up on that as well.
Yes, how to attract the birds, the bees, the butterflies, and all of that sort of thing. Robert Woodman, who, oh my goodness, that young man is so knowledgeable about so many things.
Right.
Yes. So we can learn about those, as I've said. Let's get out there and feed the birds and take care of them and learn about them.
This is the time, too.
Not to be afraid of those bees, because we might not eat if we didn't have the bees, you know?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So that's a wonderful thing. Now, Debbie, I also went down, finally, after so many years, made it down to Sandy McDougall's place, because she is the owner of Sandy's Plants, which is predominantly perennials, and incredibly knowledgeable lady, too. And went into her garden, and she is going to share I'm sure many of her garden pictures, I took these pictures, but this was their backyard. Everybody gets upset about, what am I going to do in the shade? Well, it takes a little bit of work to get it right.
Right.
But this is a walkway in her backyard, and it's predominantly those plants that can be walked on occasionally, and between the stones, it's a slightly moist area, so all those things will tolerate that. But it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and there was not a single little flower blooming in it, you know. And this was another part of her garden, up on the side where the drainage was really good, and the nursery was beyond bliss. She is a lady who tries many of the new and the unusual shrubs, and they were there to admire in all their glory. It was such a learning experience. But she always tries the unusual in that mixed planting that can be the border of your property. Don't omit those things that are a little different.
Right.
It doesn't have to be all arborvitae or all of one thing. There's a plant here that is very underused, and that's Cryptomeria. It comes in a tall one if you need that, or it comes in one that's only 15 feet. It's just incredible. And so it's wonderful to have the advantage of these private gardens. And speaking of private gardens, we're going to have David Culp come back to us, and he has written a wonderful book, and he's going to be talking about 50 plants I can't live without. And he said, how can I do that? You know?
That's right. It's like you and your favorite plant, right?
Right. The one
whatever I'm looking at.
in front of, yeah. But his garden is magnificent, and his book is all about his garden. And there are borders where he gets a lot of sunshine, and he's going to be talking about how can you have something there in the springtime, and then followed by something in the summertime, followed by something in the fall. And it's incredible. In the next picture, there's more shade. And so, like me, he has some sunny areas and some shady areas. You learn a lot from that. This is a huge border that's predominantly shade. This is early spring. You see the beauty of the new fronds of the fern and the new leaves of the hosta and some of the ephemerals, as we call them, that come in the early spring and then sort of disappear, making room for the things that come later. And so he's going to talk about those plants that fill the bill for him, you know.
Right.
And in the following picture, you'll see even in the snow, he hybridizes Helleborus. And now the trend is heavily in the direction of Helleborus because, number one, the deer don't eat them.
Right.
Number two, they bloom for a long period of time when nothing else does.
Well, it's that first hint of spring, too.
It
That's so
is.
nice.
And you can see even in the snow, they are magnificent. And so he really, I know he's going to talk about Helleborus.
There would be something wrong if he didn't talk about
That is
Helleborus.
absolutely one of his favorite things.
That is.
And so he'll probably be doing the show with us and then go and to do the seminar also.
Well, and as you can see from what Peg has mentioned, we've got several great guests. In addition to our own wonderful array of experts that are going to be on, we've got several guests this season that are going to be great. So again, you know, look through the book, pick what you'd like to see. They start on the 18th. So we're going to take a quick break. Got some more ideas for you for some great ways to learn more about gardening. Now, Peg, you were talking about, you know, us teaching, but us learning as well. And what's neat is one of our good customers and viewers has sent in. So he's taught us a few things about how to do things on a balcony.
Absolutely. Well, we can't all share these experiences.
That's right.
I don't live on a balcony, you know, but this gentleman does, and I just have loved the emails back and forth about this. Okay, if we can go back to that other picture because I think that's just such fun. I asked him when I got these pictures, email, what is this, a sleepover out on the cold balcony? You know, No, it's not a sleepover. But in the next picture, here's what he did, because I'm constantly saying, have your frost cloth on hand, or have a sheet or a blanket on hand on the really cold nights, perhaps to cover some of these things. And so he did, because now he's on a balcony, so it's going to be colder. They're in containers. It's going to be harder on them.
Right.
And he said he covered them on these really bad nights. And he actually left it on for 3 days without any harm. And you can see now, this is current pictures. The pansies are fantastic.
That's amazing.
Okay? They're wonderful. And just from some additional sheltering during those coldest nights. Now, the other thing, and I had to chuckle, he lost his kitty cat that he'd had for a very long time, and has a new little kitty cat. And apparently this kitty cat loved to climb in the Christmas tree.
Oh, really? The other one did.
So he said to me, okay, I took your advice, because you're always putting a fresh tree on the front porch or on the back deck, which I do. And so he decided to put his Christmas tree on the balcony. And here is, I thought this picture was fantastic. Here is the kitty cat looking out at the tree.
Yeah, it was so cute.
Now, living, I think it's the 18th floor. I can't remember for certain, but isn't that fun?
That is so neat. I was saying to you earlier, it's like, that's such a statement. Beautiful. There's Christmas. You know, you're driving along.
Yeah.
And,
Whoa!
and
We
there's
just
Christmas.
lost our birdies.
We just lost our birdies.
They fell off the thing.
But
Okay.
that's just so neat to be driving along and seeing that. you know, in the
Absolutely.
distance.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful. So we appreciate the sharing of those. But guess what?
Thank you,
He
Bob.
shared something else. We're also talking about amaryllis, and this is a wonderful thing to get. The ones in the boxes are beautiful. It has everything you need in it, but they're a little smaller. We have some of the bigger bulbs, and this one is actually already throwing up a bloom. And you could put it in a small pot. It needs to be a little bit bigger than the bulb, okay? And good drainage. And soon this one is going to bloom, because it's already got the buds out there,
Right.
okay? And I think this one may not ever bloom. Well, you know why? I forgot and left it in my car the last 2 nights. And I don't think that's going to work out. So you don't want to do that, okay? This is
Got a
not
little
a plant
cold.
that you can put outside. But a wonderful plant, because if it doesn't have this, it's a little unpredictable as to exactly when it will bloom, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Right.
But blooms for a long period of time, and in January, February, and early March, it's good to have this kind of thing. So he again took some advice from that. In this picture you'll see an amaryllis that he has kept going for 10 years. When it finishes blooming, he keeps it in until the weather breaks a little bit, and then he puts it in the following picture out in the corner of that balcony where it will get some sunshine. And you can see a pot that he has of basil that's coming on right behind it. But in the next picture, he grows his tomatoes and his vegetables in containers all around it, and so they're all thriving. There's plenty of sun that hits that area in the afternoon, and he has great tomatoes and great herbs. And in the meantime, that bulb is continuing to grow. You have to do that. And then what's the next step that he does? And he took all these wonderful, I'm just so thrilled.
I know.
In this one, this is what happens when he brings it in at the end of the fall. He cuts that foliage back, doesn't water it, lets it go dormant. And then in January, he starts watering it and fertilizing it again, and guess what?
Voila.
La-di-da. 10 years.
Wow.
He has kept this amaryllis going. Okay.
That's great.
I think it's wonderful.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that, you know, he doesn't look like he has a very big balcony, but he makes great use out of that.
Absolutely, every square inch. And I am amazed at what he does with
Right.
that balcony in containers.
Bob, thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
Now, you have a few books you wanted to mention.
I particularly want to mention one. As I said, I do enjoy reading very much. There's never enough time for that, but I try to make some time
Right.
for it. I enjoy the garden, but at this time of the year, I'm not in the garden
Right.
very much, and that's a good thing because I need to do some other things too. But I have read and would encourage you to read, because if you are a gardener and if you are a little bit of a historian at least, or a politician, you would enjoy this book. It's about our founding fathers, written by Andrea Wolf. And it is about the horticulturists that,
That's great.
not just Washington and Jefferson and Adams, all of the, James Madison, particularly those four, the contributions that they made to horticulture. But also some of the, they were very good friends part of the time.
Okay.
And I discovered that not only was the horticulture interesting, but their differences were interesting. And it's just presented in an easy read, but it isn't just a book that you'll read once and put down and never pick up again. It's fun to go back and reference to that, but it's about nature.
Right.
And it's about shaping our American gardens with so many things.
That's right. Well, and education
So I
comes in so many
do.
ways. So,
I do
you know, the
encourage
books
that.
are great. You've got a book on herbs here.
Yes,
You've
and
got
I like
the layered
this
garden.
one. I haven't really had a chance to see what this one has to say. And again, as I mentioned, you'll hear about this again. I'm thrilled, and he has done so well. It's so well written. This book by David Cole, The Layered Garden.
Absolutely. Well, books are a great way to learn more about gardening. Our seminars are a fantastic way to learn about gardening. You can ask questions and that type thing. And coming into the stores and talking to us. You know,
Yes.
Peggy's down there, David's down there. All of our great gardening experts are
love
there to help
talk.
you and love
Yeah.
to talk to you and share the expertise.
But
Did you
can I
have-
do one
Okay,
quick
one more
last
thing.
chance?
Okay.
Okay, last chance. I know at the Fair Oaks location, our bulbs were moved out into the cold, into the protection, but the cold of the annual house.
Right.
Okay. Now is still a good time, particularly to get some of these bulbs, which now we've put on sale, and put them in containers. It is just as easy as grabbing that container, putting some soil in it, throwing in those bulbs, covering them over. Now, the one thing I do encourage you to do is put a layer of at least an inch of small gravel on the top to keep the squirrels and now it won't keep them out,
Right.
but it will
Help.
discourage them.
Right.
you know?
Discourage them. That's a good
So the bulbs are on sale. There's still time to do it. You need to do it right away.
That's right.
Okay.
And they're getting their cold out there now.
But
which is
they're
good. They
already
need their
getting
cold
their
period.
cold.
Right.
They've got to have that cold period or they won't work, okay?
Right. Absolutely.
I think, I'm not sure that Gainesville may be still inside. Those are ones that you definitely couldn't bring in early because they need to be out in the cold as soon as possible so they can get that
Right.
period of work.
Right.
Okay?
We're going to take a break. When we come
do
back,
those
we're going to take your phone calls. 703-387-1046. Talk to you in a few minutes. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're taking your phone calls, 703-387-1046. Before we get to our first caller, I did want to mention, in our last segment when Bob had shared these his pictures with us. Facebook, we're on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and, we do all those fun things. So we hope you're enjoying those with us. But Facebook is a great way, if you have something you want to share, put it on there. It's fun to see what's what.
Absolutely. I know Fine Gardening, a magazine, and by the way, magazines are wonderful too, okay?
Absolutely.
Fine Gardening, horticulture, and numerous others, I'm sure you'll be hearing about those for me later, you know, because I do enjoy those. It helps keep up with what we're doing.
Absolutely.
We have to have that exchange. And this is one of the wonderful things that happens at the Garden Center. We're all based a little differently, and we share each other's experiences and then turn around and share those with you. So it's wonderful.
It's fun.
It's a world that I love.
That's right. That's right. Okay, our first caller is Laura, who's calling from Bowie. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm fine,
Good
thank
morning.
you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
I have a courtyard entrance to my home just outside my kitchen window, and I have 8 container plants out there for my winter garden. And I went out and checked today, and the soil is frozen. Is that going to damage those plants?
No, it won't. No. The soil does freeze in those, and it's really cold out there right now. But the soil does freeze in them, and that should not be an issue. Here again, it would be very tempting, except I have so many containers I can't do it. So this is the learning experience. Because I have more than I really should, I'm going to find out how the sizes and how well they come through this almost 0-degree weather, you know. I do need to take in my bay trees, which are in containers and have managed to survive because they're in a very protected spot. But no, you should be all right, you know, depending. But you can always go out there and cover them, and we have it good from Bob that he left them covered for 3 days,
That's
you
right.
know, which at this time of the year, because they're not an active growth, would be fine, okay?
Okay, well, thank you very
Okay,
much.
Laura, thank you for calling.
Have a great day. Okay, let's see. Our next caller is Judy, who's calling from Alexandria. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
How are
Good
you?
morning.
I'm fine, thanks.
Great. What can we do for you?
Well, I have a question about, I just moved to my house in Alexandria this summer.
Super.
And I discovered in the fall a weed out there that looks like a green onion.
Ooh.
And I don't know how to get rid of it. I didn't see it all summer. I don't know if you know about this kind of a weed that just comes in the fall. And I even went out with a weed killer and did on each individual weed. I went around and applied. I put the weed killer on a rubber glove and then spread it on the weed, trying to get rid of it. And I did that 2 different applications within a couple of weeks because it didn't seem to have any effect the first time. And they're still out there. So I'm just wondering.
Right.
I mean, the cold weather now they've died back, but.
Right.
Are they going to come back in the
Judy,
spring?
yes,
Is there
they
anything
will.
I can do in the spring? Oh.
They are in the onion family. I'm going to think that it's the wild chives or wild onions. And it is very difficult. You can dig them up, and invariably you'll leave some of those little tiny bubblets down inside, but sometimes you have to do a multitude of things. You have to go ahead and try to dig them up and get rid of that. Okay, don't put it in the mulch pile, and then dig again. The only way that I've had success with Roundup, using every chemical you ever use very judiciously, including Roundup, and being careful you don't get it on your skin. I will stomp on, literally bruise, shall we say, the foliage of those, because it's very slick and it repels anything that you put on it rather than letting it soak in. But I have discovered that if you bruise it well and then apply this herbicide, that it has been pretty successful. So wait until spring when the new growth starts again, and it will, and try that, Judy.
Okay, thank you. I
Thank
will.
you.
All right,
Take care.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. Kim is also calling from Alexandria. Hi, Kim.
Hi, I have a question about putting birds or grass seed down before it snows. And I do it, and I just didn't know. I went on the internet and I was reading about it, and 50% of the people say, no, don't do it, it's a waste of money. The other 50% say it will take and germinate for the spring.
Well, and it may indeed winter over. Certainly our weed seeds winter over, you know, or grow in the winter. However, we at the Garden Center don't recommend that you put grass seed down right now. Number one, you're going to lose a lot of it. Possibly the birds will get quite a bit of it, and while we want to feed the birds, we want to feed them something besides our grass seed, okay? There's a lot of history with people saying put it down on one of those last snows because it does moisten it as it goes down. I recommend that you wait until the ground warms somewhat and do that in March. And they say put down your weed killers when the forsythia blooms, and the reason they use that as a guide is because it's warm enough for that plant to come into bloom. Therefore, it's warm enough for that grass seed to germinate. And so I'm going to recommend that you wait until it warms up, Kim.
Thanks so much.
And Kim,
Thank
David Yost is going to be doing 2 spring lawn seminars, one on March 15th and one on March 22nd. So,
which is prime time to
take
get out
advantage of
there
that,
and
yeah.
to do that kind of thing. Okay.
right. Thanks so much for the call.
I think you should wait.
Take care. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Linda and Pam. They're both calling from Manassas. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're taking your phone calls. So our next caller is Linda, who's calling from Manassas. Thanks for waiting, Linda. Linda, how are you?
Good morning.
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thanks. What's your question?
Well, a couple weeks ago, Peg was talking about her gloves that she loves working in the garden with. And I wanted to know, what are the name of the gloves so that I can go out and get myself a pair?
She's never without them.
And we've got finally a wonderful selection because I said, ooh, we've got every glove in the world. Where are my fox gloves? You know, so now we've got a lot of them, and some are longer than others. I just couldn't be without these gloves. I can feel things with them, and they're nice and soft, and they're washable. And as I probably said then, you can buy some of those inexpensive little plastic gloves to slip over them if you're working with something that's really wet, so that they're much more comfortable. But they are fox gloves.
I like these shorter varieties.
I met the lady who started this several years ago. She came by the garden center a couple of years ago and brought me some box gloves.
Oh, nice.
But I love them. And what I may have said to you is buy more than one pair and keep one by your nightstand, because I do tough things with my hands and they suffer from it, gardening and particularly working with the fresh greens before Christmas.
Right.
We have Bag Balm, and it's a petroleum-based thing. And if I wipe my hands thoroughly with it, rub it in well, and wear these overnight every now and then, you would be shocked how soft your hands
That's great.
are.
Yeah, great
so
idea.
While you're buying, just pick up 2.
Great.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
And enjoy. And good health.
Okay, our next caller is Pam, who's also calling from Manassas. Hi, Pam.
Hi.
How are you today?
Fine, and you?
Great, thanks.
I have several questions.
Okay, we're going to run out of time, so let's see what we get to.
Okay, my knockout roses, they're a little thin. I like to make them fuller. Is now the time to cut them back?
You might want to wait just a little bit to cut them back, okay? I personally like to wait to prune my roses until you can see just a little bit of new growth coming.
Okay.
And then you can cut them back hard, but cut just above that new growth so that they'll go out and fill in. And they should fill in quite well if they get adequate sunshine, Pam.
Okay.
First question.
Another thing, I have a crepe myrtle, and there's some limbs that are low that I like to cut back, cut up a little bit. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
And is the time now?
Well, you can cut them now, or you can. Crepe myrtle is very forgiving. You can cut them for quite some time now.
Okay.
But be careful, so that you do it properly. Okay, prune it properly. I think David is going to be here next week and touch on some pruning. Plus, we've got some pruning seminars too. So there's no rush to do that, but that's part of forming that beautiful structure, is to eliminate some of those that you don't need. Okay.
Okay, and the hydrangea.
Hydrangea.
Right. They're, of course, they're dead right now, or they are dead. What do you call them?
Well, they're dormant.
Dormant, yeah, dormant.
That's all right. They look dead, all right.
Right. And is the time now to cut those down a little bit?
That is really something you need to understand, because Most of the hydrangea that we have bloom on wood that was formed buds last year, okay? And when you cut that down heavily, you are taking away 2014 blooms, okay? And you just won't have them. People wonder why my hydrangeas aren't blooming. Now, over the last few years, we are having some new varieties come in that will also bloom on new growth. And this is a blessing, because if those buds get nipped by a late spring frost, or if somebody went out and cut them back, you would have no bloom. Now you, at least on some of these plants, can get bloom from current season's growth.
Okay, so best to leave it alone.
You better leave it alone.
Okay.
Now, the advice is you prune right after bloom. Well, that's a little elusive, because I don't like to prune right after bloom, because I want to enjoy the bloom. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
The best thing you can possibly do when you buy a shrub is to be aware of, and this is where seminars and coming in and talking with many of us, be aware of how large that plant will grow, and then put it in an area where you don't have to worry about cutting it back. Let it be natural. Let it grow the way it wants to grow. And then you don't have to worry about cutting back the hydrangea, okay?
Yeah.
Thank
you so much for the call, and to all of you for your calls today. Well, we have less than a minute. Anything you want to touch on before we go?
Just come in and say hello and visit, and be sure you've got the seminar schedule. Set aside some time for reading, and some of it can be very frivolous, as in how to sew on a button, and what Grandma did. Sit down at Grandma's knee and listen to what she did. Yes, we grandmothers and grandfathers have things we need to share.
Know a lot.
And so turn off the computer, or maybe better yet, turn the computer on and
learn.
Type in what Grandma and Granddad has to say, okay?
Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to stop by and get those ice melting and snow products, because we've got them available.
We've got some days ahead.
That's right, we do. Next week, David will be here and we're talking about pruning. So have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.